Hello everyone, and welcome back to a new episode of Kerbal Space Program. The last episode, what did we do? That was the one where we got almost into orbit, tested the heat shield, or was that a while ago? I don't know. But at any rate, we have a free contract space. So let's find something to fill that up with, and we're going to have to cross-reference this with like what we can afford to unlock with our 66 science. So we want to unlock something that we can actually test, right? Something that we want to be able to take a contract. So there's a bunch of stuff available, and it's kind of not so obvious how to cross-reference this properly. Boy, this is a little loud. There we go. I don't know if that makes a difference to you guys. I think it's just me. I just adjusted the headphone volume, but it seemed a bit loud. I'm pretty sure it's the same for you guys, and I'm just like have my settings differently. Anyway, shut up, Alan. Who cares about headphones? So we have this Ferry 3 Tourists thing, which like a fancier crew cabin would let us do more easily. Or we could just put on another crew cabin. But I would rather unlock like another one of these liquid fuel engines, maybe? Or a better separator? I don't know really what could be better about a separator than what we have. A hydraulic detachment manifold? What is all this nonsense? Okay, let's ask the scientists, the eggheads, what this is all about. So we can't afford anything in this fourth row, I guess? Fourth column, I mean. Yeah, it's all like 90. And there's two things left in this column that we could pick up, aviation or flight control. So aviation gives us a bunch of like wings, a bunch basically of stuff you can use to build space planes, basically, is what we have here. And we do have some contracts that could benefit from having some planes, so that's nice, I guess. And so this is flight control, which I guess is just basically better wings for rockets, and also a reaction wheel that you can use to generate more I guess this is what you use to roll, maybe? I'm not sure if this can do all, if this can do 3-dimensional torque or just 1-dimensional. I think you can basically install this as an improvement to what the cockpit already does to get you a bit more rotational ability. And if you put it closer to the center of mass, of course, then it works much better. Whereas the cockpit area is far from the center of mass and has to work hard to apply rotations. So that's an interesting idea. We could maybe slap one of these in the middle of the rocket to help with the booster stage. Okay, so let's just grab these. These are slightly better wings, and if I right-click, it'll show me control surface portion 95%. Yeah, so these are like better at helping you spin and point the ship. So that might help us with the takeoff orientation a bit more. Might as well pick this up. Well, actually, none of these are like the things that we actually want to test, huh? That we can take a contract for? Yeah, none of this looks at all familiar. Okay, well, that's fine, I guess. Let's just pick this up, and I guess what we could do is instead look around up here and see, like, here's this detachment manifold. Oh, here's a 3-part coupler in a single part. That's cool. So we could save our science up a bit and, like, work on one of these guys. There's a couple of new fuel engines up here that we could get. Exactly how are these better? This is like a sea level liquid fuel engine. And this is very small. Goodness, like it does like nothing. What is this for? This must be for like when you're already orbiting the moon or something, where you would need very little thrust, but you'd like to have it on a small ship or something? I don't know. And up here, we have some more serious, I think the Poodle is something they wanted us to test. This is stuff to help you, like, take off with bigger ships. But, alright, none of that, like, seems super amazing. I don't know, this is stuff that they'd like us to test, so we could save for this, I don't know. But I think I wouldn't mind having some better control over the takeoff. So this is a large... So this is more about stability, but not as much about turning, and this is more about turning, and less about stability, I guess? Because it covers relative... I don't know. I would have to look up what some of this junk means. But we'll take it. Sure. Okay, so we... Poodle, Ant, and Spark. Yeah, so those are the things they want us to do. We don't really have any ability to do any of these things. So we'll just aim for getting into orbit and see what that looks like. Open the one we worked on last. And something I realized during the last episode is these guys, we can turn them all the way up. We turned them down because we thought we were going to be burning up, accelerating way too fast. But actually, this rocket is plenty heavy. We don't need to go easy on this. We can just use this to get as high up as quickly as possible. I think is pretty reasonable. And honestly, like, isn't FLT 200? Is that the one I want? That's this one. We could put a bit more fuel in the orbiting stage. Also double check which engines we're using. The Terrier is still the best one to use while in space, right? Its efficiency is 345 while in vacuum. Oh, that has vac. I've been reading it as vec this whole time, thinking of vectored thrust. But no, it's in a vacuum. That makes way more sense for why, like, compared to at sea level, obviously, vacuum, right? And I'd been treating it as that and just thought they called it vec for some reason. Okay, got it. So this is a pretty efficient engine, I think, right? 345 in a vacuum. And, yeah, okay. Sure. So that's a fine thing for our orbital stage. We could add one more thing, maybe, if we wanted, like add another goo chamber, maybe, in the hopes that we'll be in orbit and therefore get to measure extra science from that. Sounds good, I guess. And pretty soon, maybe it'll be time to upgrade our number of parts allowed, but honestly, like, we should be able to get into orbit without having to upgrade that. And I don't think we should have needed to upgrade our launch pad either. This stuff is all rather unnecessary, I think. But, you know, it's not like I'm an expert constructionist and I put together something that sort of kind of seems to work, and I'm not good enough to optimize it to be, you know, the minimum amount. I'm not smart enough to throw more brains at the problem, but I can throw more parts at the problem. So let's have the liquid fuel down at like 1/3, SAS on. And so this time I really would like to try to get into orbit. And I'm sure that this ship is capable of doing it if I can just fly it better. And we should get some pretty good science if we can actually do it. I don't know. I think we're about ready with our takeoff. We got all this stuff. Oh, which way do I need to turn to head east? We're at 271 right now. How do I read this? 270? I don't understand this thing. I think just pressing W will point us forward, but I'm not sure. We'll find out while we're in the air, I guess. Oh, I forgot to count down. Oh, well, sorry. It does seem like it's pointed the wrong way. Maybe I should change which side of the launch pad the stabilizer is on. Okay, we're taking off, going pretty fast. I actually am a little bit worried that we might be going at an unsafe speed in terms of like burning up, but I don't think so. Yeah, it seems like we're going okay. Let's turn a bit more. Whoa! Whoa! Slow down. Okay, I have somewhat lost control of the ship here. There we go. Keep it pointed that way. That's not... We're not high enough to be turned this far, I don't think. Can we reorient a bit upwards? Okay, well... This is looking pretty good. Let's cut the engines for a sec and get reoriented. Turn off the SAS. Not that way. Let's turn over like this. And stop. We're at a reasonable height. We have plenty of fuel left. We're pointing the right way. I think we ought to be able to get into orbit this time. We'll have to use some fuel from our orbiting stage to stabilize it, I think. But that's fine. Apoapsis remaining steady at 87,000. It looks like it's shrinking, but I think we're just getting closer to it. The numbers are obviously staying the same. I'm having trouble explaining why... Oh, I see. It's just because we're actually progressing along the arc towards it. Okay. So here we are up in space. Jeb, I hope you're enjoying your flight. And... I'm not going to hit the science things up just yet, because I think we can do better once by looking at them while we're in orbit. Okay, let's point like that, maybe, and I think it's probably time to burn? Maybe a bit late, in fact. So this is the idea. By burning close to apoapsis, we keep the apoapsis where it is, but extend the periapsis. Yay! Alright, so... zoom out. It's always a bit hard. I can't get this rotated exactly the way I want it, but... You know what, let's take a break on this. And just wait until we're a bit closer to the apoapsis where our burning will have more effect. We ended up pushing our apoapsis a bit higher by burning as early as we did. And there's no need to be impatient in space. Shouldn't we be hearing the space music? Oh, probably time to fire up the engines again. Boy, this engine really does not have a lot of kick to it, which is reasonable. But, I'm a little dubious about whether this is going to go wide enough before we run out of fuel. I think it might not. We're so close. Okay, that was me cutting the engines. We didn't actually run out. Look at it go. Oh, it's perfect. Look at this, we're in orbit. Alright, don't burn any further or we'll never be able to come back down. I believe we are now in a stable orbit. Look at that, we achieved our goal according to the contract. So if we wanted to, we could just stay up here forever. Look at this, how peaceful. The closest we ever get to the planet is 90,000 meters, and we're quite sure that there is that there's no atmosphere at that height. So nothing to disrupt our perfect circles. We'll just sort of keep orbiting like this forever if we don't do anything, which is why we saved a little bit of fuel. I believe we have enough that we could point ourselves in the opposite direction and burn off some altitude, burn off some speed, and that'll let us come back home. But it's possible that Jeb's going to be stuck out here for a long time if we burned up too much fuel on the way up. We did, after all, get a little bit higher than necessary. Well, let's celebrate with a crew report. What do you think about being the first Kerbal in orbit, Jeb? Huh. He doesn't think being in orbit is any different from just being in space. I thought that there would be like different crew reports and things. That's a shame. All right. Well, what about the goo? Does it care about being in space? No, it's pretty much the same as when we were just in suborbital flight. Oh well, we can at least get some good science from. How do I could open these, but you can actually click on this without opening the. Ugh. All right, well, whatever. I'll just open one of these bays. Now it's easy to click on this. Observe the materials bay, please. Pick up a little more science. And, cool. Close the doors. Where's the service bay? Close that too. And I wish we could let you get around and look, Jeb, but we just don't. We don't have proper. We don't have proper suit technology. Look at that. We're orbiting Kerbin, just like the moon. We're a whole new satellite for the first time in Kerbin history. Kerbal history? I'm not sure which. In the history of Kerbin, Kerbal history makes sense. Okay, well let's celebrate. Do a victory lap or two. We're not moving around the world very quickly, so I'm gonna want to do these at like times 50 or something. But let's just confirm that we in fact don't ever go any further down. 90.522, 107.291. And he can just stay up here as long as he wants, not touching the atmosphere. It's nice to finally do this after a number of tries that did not quite work out. Hopefully we get Jeb down safely at the end of all this. But even if we don't, it'll be an accomplishment. He's been up here for, I don't know. How often are we orbiting here? This is like one orbit every hour? Maybe? He's been up here for a little while. You know, probably doesn't need lunch, but maybe we should have. It's not, oh, it's not even an hour. It's like every 20 minutes or something we're orbiting. All right. Well, hope he went to the bathroom before he came up, I guess. Okay. So what do we want to do? How do we want to get back down? Well, the answer is once we are at apoapsis, we're gonna see the best time to adjust your periapsis is while you're at apoapsis and vice versa. Burning at one of them. Burning where you are doesn't. If you do a burn at a particular point in your orbit, you mostly don't impact how far away that part of your orbit is from the planet. But you do impact how fast you're moving at that part of your orbit, which changes how far away the other end of your orbit is from the planet. So we want to lower one side of the orbit or the other to get it back into the atmosphere. And the periapsis is the closest point. So it's therefore the one you have to lower the least to get it back into the atmosphere. Which means that at apoapsis is where we want to burn to adjust our periapsis to lower it into the atmosphere. And the way to do that is just to, when we get close to apoapsis, we're not going to do anything silly like point ourselves straight at the Earth and burn, or the planet, I should say, and burn. Rather, we'll just point ourselves the opposite of the direction we are going. That'll slow us down, which means we won't slingshot around quite as far on this side. I don't really have a great grasp on orbital mechanics, but at least this part I do get. That's how you slow yourself down here. It sort of seems in some ways like you want to go down, point yourself at the planet, but no, that's not really how it works. Okay, well, let's get a little practice with the nav ball and see if I can. I think this point here is prograde. So if I were to point this way and burn, I would raise the periapsis, which is not what I want. But how can I tell if this is actually prograde or not? I guess there's these degree markers here, 45 and 90, right? And our heading is currently 65, which means we're basically in the middle here. So this must be the direction we're actually moving. So we want to be on the opposite side of this. So let's turn off SAS and just like sort of let the ship rotate itself to the other side. Who knows what this is, but it's not retrograde, so we don't want to be there. I could push it a bit further to make this go faster, but we're in no hurry to turn this around. And there is what should be our prograde marker, our retrograde marker. Let's turn the SAS back on. Thanks for holding it there, Jeb. And we'll just do a couple fine adjustments to get it lined up just right. There we go. So now let's zoom in and look at our ship. We should be pointing backwards. Honestly, it's a little hard to tell which way. I see which way we're facing, but I can't tell which way we're moving, and I'm having trouble getting the camera to agree with me on that one. Yeah, we're going this way, towards the bright part. Great, so this is pointing retrograde, just like we wanted. And when we get to apoapsis, we will burn the rest of our fuel. And hopefully that will be enough to lower our periapsis into the atmosphere, and then we'll come screaming in like a banshee on our next lap. So I'm just going to speed things up again to get us close to apoapsis, which is where we, again, as I said, can have the most impact. And we don't have a lot of fuel, so I will burn pretty close to the apoapsis instead of trying to anticipate it and burn early. Okay, that looks pretty good. And we're no longer pointing, of course. Our heading has changed a little bit. Alright, that looks good. And we just passed apoapsis. Burn, burn, burn! I think that did it, right? Yep, we are headed back into the atmosphere on the next pass. Perfect. So let's get rid of this useless piece of space junk. Do we still have a heat shield on the bottom? We do. Very good. I think we'll need it. So this is going to be... Well, let's just time warp our way over there. This is going to be interesting. How fast do we end up coming in? I think we're coming in like pretty shallow, so we should have plenty of time to burn off our 2,000 odd velocity, meters per second of velocity. But I haven't done this previously, as you guys well know, so I could be wrong about the fact that we'll have plenty of time. Maybe we'll have some problems. Alright, how are we looking here? We're almost back in the atmosphere, so I'm going to make sure we're still pointed retrograde. Get that heat shield working as well as it can. And come off of the time lapse as we re-enter the atmosphere at 70,000 meters. Now I believe we are just starting to feel the the atmosphere needle has moved. The very slightest amount of atmospheric drag should be starting now. Not enough that we can notice it, but enough that it should make a slight difference. And really the only thing to do is just keep the heat shield pointed backward. It occurs to me I should see if there's a way to like put less ablator in this. I think there is. We shouldn't need all 200. Like 100 would be fine. We might need like all 200 if we were coming back from another planet or something. We'd be moving much more quickly relative to Kerbin. But just coming in from low Kerbin orbit, we're going like, I don't know, 2200, 2300 meters per second. We determined that you only need like 30 or 40 ablator for that. Maybe even none. I don't know. Maybe the service bay and the command module are sturdy enough to withstand coming in, withstand re-entry without the heat shield. But I figure it can't hurt to put a heat shield on, right? Ah, I see. That's what makes this stay up. So if I click up here, that stays pinned. Cool. So we can watch our ship's thermal protection burn up right before our eyes. That's cool. And our electric charge is running a little low, but, you know, that's fine. We have more than enough for a few laps around the planet. I love how it looks re-entering. You're just like this, like, crazy flare coming in, and, like, I guess this is what real spacecraft look like re-entering, but I haven't really looked at re-entry nearly as much as I've watched, like, hooray, a rocket is taking off. You can, you know, watch that on TV or whatever if you feel like it. I'm not sure what is experiencing drag there. I think we should be fine. We're pointed in the right direction. Just when something pops up, try to orient myself as retrograde as possible and hope that that makes the burning stop. Yeah, our orbit is definitely quite a bit lower now. I don't know, let's get this out of here. We don't really care how much ablator we used in real time. We can check at the end. It was just for fun anyway. Alright, turn the SAS off. Having a little trouble keeping this ship oriented. I'm going to just let the atmosphere take care of it. This ship is pretty well the right shape, so here we go. Made it through re-entry. No big problems. Used up 37 of our 200 ablation stuff. And we've got plenty of altitude to finish slowing down. And it looks like we'll be splashing down rather than coming in over a continent. I should have planned that, but I didn't. I just, like, got lucky. Definitely would prefer to come down in the ocean as opposed to on a mountain when possible, but I didn't really think about it. Okay, cool. So we did our first orbit. Didn't get any new bits of science up there, aside from like what we could have been getting from suborbital flight. But it's a big milestone, both, I think, in terms of the game, like maybe it'll start offering us new sort of advancement contracts, but also just in terms of like, hey, we're getting better at this game. We flew into orbit, stayed there as long as we felt like, and came back, and it was great. Maybe didn't get there perfectly, definitely some slip-ups along the way, but overall, a pretty good mission. Yeah, it's probably about time to hit the parachute. You know, didn't need to do it quite that early, but I guess we're actually still going down pretty fast, but they should go off at, yeah, 1,000 meters. There we go. And now we're going real slow, so let's just speed this up. There you go. Congratulations, Jeb. You were the first Kerbal to go all the way around the planet a few times. I mean, I don't know. Maybe people have done it in cars or something, but, you know, in space, all in one go around the planet in 10 minutes as opposed to several weeks. That's quite a bit of speed. So what is... I feel like I've seen some stuff up here. I don't know what any of this is all about. Maybe some of it is about doing maneuvers or something? I don't know. There's probably some cool stuff to learn in future tutorials. I would like to learn about some more features of the game. I don't need a tutorial to get into orbit, although I bet I could learn how to do it better. And I'm sure it'll tell me some more stuff about what to do other than just getting into orbit. Crew report? Yeah, how's the water? Yeah, it's just water. Okay, great. Well, fine. Mystery Goo, do you like the water at all? Yeah, we already got some water, some science from space, so let's not mess around with that. Okay, back to the Space Center, having recovered the vessel. And we'll look at the accolades come pouring in as we're the first people ever to go into orbit. Recovery of a vessel returned from Kerbal orbit. That's our first time seeing that. 10 science. So we did in fact get some stuff for that. Material study while in space near Kerbal. Yeah, we picked up more science from that. Total of 18.3. Pretty cool. Recovered a lot of the vessel, but 2,800 recovered. Didn't we spend like 12,000? So we're only getting back like a sixth of it. A lot of it. Yeah, that makes sense, right? Most of the vessel we're just like letting fall back to Earth and kill people. And we gained one more experience and advanced to level 1. Who knows what that means? Congratulations, Jeb. Let's review all this stuff. Yes, we did orbit Kerbal. We completed our contract, got like 50,000 bucks, some science, some reputation. And we didn't tell the recovery team that you'd be staying in space, so they're still looking. But we didn't stay in space. We came back down. Great job. The recent accomplishments have attracted contributions from numerous organizations. So we got a reward for entering orbit and another one for leaving orbit and returning safely. Great. So this should let us invest some in like improving, I don't know, buying our astronauts some EVA suits or something at least. Who knows? Something like that. But we can do that in the next episode. For now, I believe we are done with this one. And what a triumphant episode it was. Hope you guys enjoyed that first trip into orbit and back. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.